Rob Dillingham turned 19 in January of 2024. At the NBA Draft Combine, he measured in at 6'1", 164 pounds, 6 feet 3 inches wingspan, and 7 feet 11 inches standing reach. For the 23-24 season, he played 34 games. He averaged 15.2 points, 2.9 rebounds, 3.9 assists on 47.5% from the field, 44.4% from the three, 79.6% from the free throw line, with an effective field goal percentage of 56.4, a PER of 23.5, and a win share of 3.3. Scoring. In college, Rob Dillingham was a certified bucket getter who flirted with being an offensive engine. He is an acrobatic and consistently clutch scorer who plays with an attacking ferocity that would ignite the Kentucky offense as he strung together sequences of electrifying offense. His natural bouncy ball handling style allows him to turn hesitation and retreat dribbles into attack dribbles and pull-ups. Dillingham is effortless when going from a live dribble into his shooting form, usually starting squared up with the rim and off 2 feet with balance, especially when mixing the hesitation into the pull-up or sidestep or step back. He is capable of making these hanging and twisting shots, but he also has the foundation of quick feet and balance to build better habits with. Off ball, he has a natural sense of relocation and will look to get the ball back after he drives and kicks. On his standing catch and shoot, he is deadly and gets into his shot quickly, but will benefit from learning to not bring the ball so low. On the drive, he has a floater game but prefers to finish at the rim. Dillingham is comfortable getting into mid-range pull-ups, especially utilizing a sidestep, and will mostly pull up going left. When finishing going right, he likes to brush off contact and hit a right-handed hook shot or absorb the contact, hang and twist in the air, and then bank it in. Going left, he likes to beat the defender to the left side of the rim and finish with the right, or absorb the contact and bank it in. Dillingham's smaller frame undersells his ability to absorb contact on the drive, although it will be an issue against the best NBA defenders. Dillingham has a high ceiling for drawing free throws, as his combination of speed, erratic movement, and small frame lead to noticeable contact indications for refs. In college, he averaged 7.1 free throws per 100 possessions. I do have questions about how elite his quickness is at the next level, as he had real trouble getting by more athletic defenders like Tennessee's Jordan Gainey, and would often gain an advantage off the dribble only to lose it halfway to the rim. I do think there are concerns regarding his dribbling and footwork efficiency, especially when he receives comparisons to players like Darius Garland. I also think he is far less comfortable driving in traffic than someone like Garland, as he lacks the movement efficiency and court mapping required to manipulate within the lane. Occasionally in lane, he will lose the ball, force a bad pass, or resort to simply jumping into multiple defenders to throw up a shot. Aesthetically, I see his game as being more Jalen Green or Jordan Clarkson than I do Darius Garland or Kyrie Irving. I do buy that he can score in volume in the NBA, if given the volume opportunity, but I doubt that he can become a leading option. Defensive and defensive rebounding. Defense is where Dillingham's draft profile falters heavily. While his size will naturally hamper his ability to contribute at the NBA level, it is his defensive awareness, instincts, effort, and footwork that trouble me. The positives are that Kentucky often used him to defend the opposing team's lead ball handler, where he would often pick up the ball handler high above the arc. As his footwork, especially on slides and recovery, improved throughout the season, there were times when he was able to bring some positive defensive impact to the floor. When he sees a screen coming and opens up to it, he is capable of gracefully dancing around multiple screens while staying mostly attached. He reads off ball actions decently and will often point out incoming switches. He has quick hands that he uses in help defense to contest dribbles and rebounds. And he has some instinct for tracking rebounds in the air. But outside of these positives, the negatives are loud and glaring. He often has poor footwork during on ball defense, getting stuck with his feet out in front of him, especially on closeouts. He also takes extra steps on defensive slides when converting slides to recoveries, sometimes not hitting full stride until 3 steps into churning. His footwork did improve throughout the season, but even in March Madness, he gave up blow-bys to an Oakland team that lacked elite ball handlers. Subsequently, Dillingham is especially vulnerable against elite ball handlers, where his bouncy movement style allows a ball handler to easily wrong foot him or get him off balance. For example, Florida's Zion Pullen repeatedly blew by Dillingham with just one crossover move, and bigger ball handlers can easily displace him as they get to their spots for pull-ups. Navigating screens is also a real issue for him, as he often fails to adjust to an incoming screen and dies on any screen that draws contact. Once beat, he will swipe at the ball to occasional success, but will mostly give up on defending the drive. In help, Dillingham consistently gambles, often doubling at the wrong time or helping off the strong side corner. And he struggles to keep track of his man when in help, often leaving shooters wide open. This especially becomes glaring when the shot is up, as Rob seldom looks to box out. What bothers me is that he often wouldn't realize his man was crashing the glass. And when Dillingham does try to box out, it is usually underwhelming, composing mostly of one hard bump before he gives up. Overall, Dillingham would at times show heart and potential on defense, but the majority of the time he was a glaring weakness. Far too often, Dillingham would string together long sequences of poor defense that could only be characterized as sloppy and with poor effort. The floor game. Dillingham said at the combine that he didn't start playing lead guard until his sophomore year of high school, and that before that, he was accustomed to shooting. Dillingham is capable of making the first pass and occasionally will beat the adjacent help, but struggles with court mapping outside of the direct action. He is a ball stopper who likes to take a moment to read the floor, but his offensive prowess and attacking style naturally lead to playmaking opportunities, as he averaged 9 assists per 100 possessions for Kentucky. He has a good lob game and will make bigs happy, as his main read is to find the big. As the season progressed, he developed his advantage recognition and his ability to manipulate defenses to create scoring opportunities. with the last two games of the season being his best advanced playmaking showcases. Dillingham does struggle to pass to the shooter pocket and prefers to throw one-handed football passes over the more efficient two-handed pass. This slows down his delivery and makes it harder for him to hit corner and wing shooters. Also, Dillingham tends to jump before knowing where he wants to deliver the ball, which would lead to turnovers and suggest that he was struggling with court mapping. In transition, he would rarely make a skip-ahead pass and often fail to recognize a potential advantage situation up court. I found a lack of evidence that he is capable of threading the needle or making difficult skip passes, and instead, my read is that he either doesn't see the opportunities or prefers to not take the risk. Intangibles. Confidence in his shot and his game radiates off the floor. Dillingham thrives in big moments and wants the ball when the game matters. He has an undeniable feel for scoring, and his aggressiveness permeates out to the rest of the team when he is on the floor. Dillingham doesn't seem to get tired, especially on offense. He reportedly was comfortable being a sixth man and said all the right things about embracing winning. Dillingham does have some bad body language if he doesn't get the ball when he thinks he could score. He will hustle for rebounds and loose balls and will get chippy fighting for a ball. He will also throw some cheap shots. But he also shows a lack of hustle when it comes to watching on defense, giving up on defending drives, or watching on offense from the corner. One moment that stood out to me happened when he repeatedly swiped at a dead ball in possession of a Tennessee big. The Tennessee big then stepped to Dillingham. Rob's teammate, Aaron Bradshaw, responded by stepping in to shove the Tennessee big. Then Dillingham simply walked away while the bigs got in each other's faces. After, when Bradshaw walked to the bench, where he tried to say something to Dillingham, Dillingham seemed to ignore him and keep his distance. I also got the vibe that Shepard wasn't always in love with Dillingham's decision making, as there were times when Dillingham would be open in transition, and Shepard, who would normally hit the open man, would instead look for someone else. In sum, I believe scouts can choose to see what they want in Dillingham. At 19 years old, he already has a polished scoring game and has shown the ability to add muscle to his frame. His playmaking strengths can be seen as strong indicators of an NBA shot creator, and his athleticism can be seen as an indicator that he can survive on defense. I suspect that for many front offices, the conversation around Dillingham became about whether he was an actual offensive engine that drives efficient offense, or just an efficient scorer. If he does develop into an offensive engine, then his defense becomes excusable. If he is just a scorer, it becomes harder to fit him into a winning rotation. At the same time, his need for the ball, lack of advanced playmaking, lack of help IQ, and occasional poor shot selection could all be seen as indicators of a low basketball IQ player who will struggle against the elite athletes of the NBA. Personally, while I understand how rare his scoring feel is, I believe his glaring deficiencies, because of the associated risk, should have dropped him to around a mid-first round pick or later. I land on the side of him not being a contributing factor to a contending roster, and I have serious difficulties imagining him helping Minnesota in the coming year's playoffs, especially because I question what his offensive fit next to Anthony Edwards and Karl Town will look like. If he doesn't make the team's stars significantly better, while also being a massive liability on defense, how does he contribute to winning? How good can he be without the ball in his hands? Obviously, the Shea and Lucas of the West will cook him, but his poor help awareness and bad rebounding will also make him a liability guarding someone who can shoot or crash the glass.